of these interventions in the intellectual property, entertainment, whatever world, arts and craft or creative industry is a way of government saying, look, we're helping you, but don't forget, you've got to pay your tax as time goes on.
Definitely. Definitely, that's very, very important. It's very important, especially if we look at, say, the dwindling lawyer revenues. Okay, it is very important for Nigeria's fiscal, space to enlarge. Enlarging this fiscal space means that the tax pool has to be increased. The tax effort has to be intensified. Right now, Nigeria is one of the least in Africa in terms of tax effort, meaning that not a lot of people are paying tax because the larger chunk of the productive sector is informal. So it has to be formalized before you can have information, before you can get people to, generate their own share of the revenue.
How much more do you think the Buhari's administration should do to boost what you call a private sector-led economic revival?
I think that is where more work is required. Yes, I can understand, trying to fight corruption. I would say, if you ask me, from what I know, and then because I also researched these things a whole lot, based on that book, which is actually, I think, that book is a seminal one when it comes to thinking about development, because we tend to think about development, as an arrow, as a trajectory that goes from good governance to although there is no golden path to economic development. But what I think government should focus on doing now is in growing the market, okay, creating the incentive, helping the people. We have so much constraints in the economic system. Okay, you were talking about the food inflation that has increased. I think part of that is also due to infrastructure. Okay, increasingly infrastructural situation is getting, it's getting worse. So that is something government needs to really work hard at. Not just that. Okay, and not just the physical infrastructure, the social infrastructure. Again, I have to commend the Lagos State government because they are making serious effort in building the social infrastructure. Okay, and by building the social infrastructure, they're able to attract more people into the tax pool. I think the federal government needs to borrow a leaf from the Lagos State government.
Beyond what we know, where we are, we need to move forward. And moving forward, part of that is the ERGP and the budget and what have you. Do you think we have enough flow from the current policies and actions that can really deliver on what the vice president says a few days ago after the president came back and said, look, we're laying a foundation for rebuilding a modernized economy for Nigeria? Do you think that was a little bit ambitious for the vice president to say? No, or you think he's on track?
I think he's on track because even flowing from the last administration, okay, where we had the National Integrated Infrastructure Master Plan and then the National Industrial Revolution, also. Then, of course, the ERGP borrowed from that a little bit. But I think the challenge, many people have talked about this, many people have criticized the ERGP because it's not deep enough. Okay, so yes, government has gotten some of the foundational things they need to drive this economy, to build a really market-based economy, private sector-led. Okay, but we need to see them walk, their words, because it seems to be more of rhetoric at the moment.
More of rhetorics at the moment. Okay, let's hang it in there for today. Thank you very much for coming through, Dr. Buhari from Lagos Business School. We appreciate that, your time being here this morning on the program. Let's get on back to some of the stories making the headlines. There's no headline bigger than inflation that jolted all the forecasts we've had since about 2 weeks, that inflation will decline to below 16%. That did not happen after keeping everyone waiting for nearly 2 weeks. The Statistics Office this morning reports 16.05% as inflation for the month of July against 16.10% in the month of June. Food inflation is where the devil is in the details. Headline food inflation, 20.88%, according to the data from the Bureau of Statistics. This, according to the statement, represents the highest year-on-year increase in food inflation since the beginning of the new series in 2009. On a month-on-month basis, however, the food sub-index increased by 1.52% in July That is slightly down 0.47% from 1.99% posted in the month of June. Core inflation, which excludes the prices of volatile agricultural produce, eased a little by 0.30%, and you heard that's what the central bank will be focusing on. The next monetary policy meeting is taking place in the third week of September. Meantime, look at what is making headlines today. The horrendous Hurricane Harvey is causing catastrophic economic consequences in Texas in the United States. That is cutting 25% of the Gulf of Mexico's oil and gas production, as well as refineries that are located in that basin. Oil and gasoline prices jump today as we speak. We're looking at the U.S. Crude, which you call the WTI, the West Texas Intermediate, down almost 1%, 0.96% to 47.41. Meantime, the Brent crude, on which Nigeria's oil is benchmarked, is up about 52 to 52.56 early this morning. This prices move as the seconds also tick. So that's the story there today. The total cost of this hurricane and now tropical storm and tropical rainfall will be around $24 billion US. Today, we expect the President, Muhammadu Buhari, to commission the reactivated 2 plants in Edo State. The first is a cement plant, and the second is a fertilizer plant. According to the government office, this will be the 12th fertilizer plant that will be reactivated and recommissioned by the administration since the National Fertilizer Program started in 2016. And if you get the map of Nigeria, you find where these plants are located, basically concentrated in the north to the north central part of the country: Katsina, Kano, Kaduna, Bauchi, Niger State, I beg your pardon. Very confusing. Niger State, and of course Jos. Then you have one in Ebonyi, and another one now, one in Lagos, and of course now we have Edo State joining that list of the fertilizer plants coming back on stream. When we return, we'll look at the last trading days of August and what that tells us as we step into September, the final month in the third quarter.